Hello and welcome. Today's video will be going over everything from episode 2 all the way to the end game and the beginning of the end game. But before we get started, I would like to do a quick tip on the game guide. There's a guide in the game if you did not know. Tells you a lot of useful information. Doesn't include everything, but it does have a lot. One of the main things people have a lot of problems with is status effects. In the game guide, you can see every status effect or every effect that counts as a status effect and which each effect counts as. So you have debuffs, crowd controls, and damage over time. Each element can cause 2 status effects. For physical, there's bleeding and stuns. For fire, there's burn and wound. For cold, there's freeze and chill. For lightning, there's bind and shock. And for poison, there's poison and blind. It's important to note that if a effect is not on this list, it will not get benefits from the modifier options on your gear that specifically state status effects, damage over time, crowd control, or debuff. It has to be on this list. Status effect is the top of the list. All of this counts as a status effect, but only these count as crowd control. Only these count as damage over time, and only these count as debuffs. Another important area people struggle with is elemental damage. Every enemy you fight above their health bar shows you the elemental damage type that enemy does. If you're struggling on a boss, even though you've capped your resist, the recommended resist for that area, you might be dying because of their secondary element. Another way to see why you're dying is in the resurrection menu. It'll show you which damage type you were taking and how much of each damage type. The first topic I will be going over is resistances. Every area you go to, especially from act 2 or from episode 2 onwards, resistances become very important. I know it continues to only recommend one element, but from episode 2 onwards, you start taking a lot more diverse elemental damage. So it recommends fire, but you'll run into enemies that do poison, lightning, all kinds of elements. Though fire is the heaviest one, and you should cap that one if you can only cap a few. Fire should be one for this act at least. But another thing that starts popping up a lot in episode 2 is chaos damage. So capping your resistances is going to be very important. One of the easiest way to do this is in every new town, check the resistances on the world map, go to the gear shop, and buy a new set of gear. If you're using armor, buy a full set of armor, and then craft in a have a special crafting tip that makes it way easier. In the combining tab of the alchemy table, in the essence tab, you can convert your birth essence into fixed essence, 10 for 1. What the fixed essence does is say that you wanted to craft this piece of gear. Here's all the things that can roll, but you really need fire resistance or chaos resistance for whichever act you're in. With the fixed essence, you can select an option. So you go down and you select fire, you hit OK. Every time you enchant it, it's guaranteed to roll a fire resist or whatever option you selected. So instead of rolling hundreds of birth essences and never getting a good roll of whenever you do get a fire resist, it might not be good, or you get a bunch of other crap with it. You're just wasting these essences. It's better to use a fixed essence, takes less time, and gets you better results. Our second topic will be over leveling and good zones to do it in. Typically, when I'm looking for a zone to level in, the level of the zone is shown right here, level 43, or over here, level 43, and it's shown on all of them. Typically, what I look for is a zone like this where it only has one exit. So I can go in a route, go from here all the way to here, and I never go the wrong way on accident. Say if I was here, it has two exits. I could accidentally go to this one, or I could go this one the way I want to go. So I would start here, and I'd work my way to the waypoint in this one, go back to town, and then do it again and repeat. And that's how I would level. Over leveling can be a huge help if you're struggling. I feel being over leveled is a huge advantage in this game as compared to most other similar games. Just as being under level is a very big problem as well. The next topic will be auto potions, or just potions in general. You can set them up in this menu in your inventory potions tab. You can set them up for when to activate at a HP threshold, when to activate at a mana threshold, or just when to just activate every X amount of seconds. Or also, you can use them upon status effects if you have those potions. If you're really struggling for one shot, or not one shots, but you're really struggling, you can equip multiple types of healing potions. I suggest having one regular potion that recovers over time. There's a low cooldown, and it recovers this amount over 5 seconds. And I suggest having an instant potion. Has a longer cooldown, but it heals that same total amount instantly. This really helps out. You just set it on one of the other slots here or there. You turn on auto use, and then I would set HP to a low amount, something that you feel comfortable with, around the 20% area. So every time you drop real low for maybe a hard hit that comes out of nowhere or a crit, the instant potion with that long cooldown will top you back off, so that your regen potion can keep you maintained up here. That instant potion will jump you back up whenever things get bad. The next topic will be in the Zodiac tree. In the Zodiac tree, you can reset your stats independently and your traits independently. As you can see, eventually, mine cost money to reset my stats and traits. But as long as you have not beaten the Act 10 boss, this will be free for you. Another useful tip in the Zodiac menu is the search bar. Like if I wanted to look up HP, this would show me all the nodes that have HP. Or if I wanted to look up, block, show me all the nodes with block. Speaking of things you can do prior to Act 10 for free, there are rune transfers. So as you see, I have this rune. It has 2 slots. Guess it won't let you do that.
Listen to the whispers of runes.
With rune transfer, you'll be able to transfer. Say you were using Blade of Death. You had it leveled up to 16. You have it 5 slots. But now you don't want to use Blade of Death anymore. You want to use Shadow Forest. With rune transfer, it will transfer as long as it's the same grade. See, these are both normal. It will transfer not only the slots, but also the levels. You'll see, and the slots stay the same color, if that helps. But it'd be converting fully this and matching it onto your new rune. And it will do this for free as long as you have not beaten the Act 10 boss on any character. Once you beat it once on any character, it costs money. It costs essences on every character you make after that. That's different from the Zodiac tree. The Zodiac tree is free to reset on every new character until that character has beaten the Act 10 boss. Another useful tab in here is gear transfer. Say you rolled the really good stats on a weapon and you don't want to try to roll those stats again. Like maybe you're in the end game and you identified a very good item. It's just on a bad base item, or you can't use that base item. You can transfer the stats from that item onto a base that you would prefer, but it costs material. Partial transfer or full transfer. Guaranteed or partial transfers. The partial transfers 4 to 6 random options, which is pretty decent. And then the guaranteed would transfer all of it to make it the exact same, just on a different item. The next topic I'm going to go over is the recruitment board. The Spire of Barrier is extremely good way of getting money. You see each of these gives you money. The easy you have to do them in order. You can only do one difficulty a day. So you can do easy as much as you want, but you have to beat it once before you can do normal. Then once you click normal and you click enter, you can only do normal for that day. But once you beat normal, then you can go up to hard. Same thing, once you've entered hard, you can only do hard. But once you've beaten hard, you can do chaos. Each reward gives you more money. The 500 here. And then normal, you start getting 1500s. Hards, you start getting 5 grand. Chaos, the only difference between hard, the first 3 difficulties, and chaos is if you go over, all of these stop at stage 20. Chaos stops at stage 70. Way more difficult, but also gives you way more money and way more gemstones of courage. Unlike raiding, you can do these solo. There's no real reason to do them solo, but that is an option. Now we'll talk about raids. Raids reset every 3 to 4 days. I think it's 4 days. Sometimes I've seen it just say 3 days. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's four. But you have three raid bosses, different level requirements. Though I don't suggest going in immediately a level 30 or immediately a level 50. But when you do decide to go in, you want to make sure you have the recommended elemental resistances. So you want to have the max fire res for him, max cold res, max poison res. It's a party of 8. You get gemstones of courage, and the other reward you're going in there for are the rune stones. I'll quickly go over each raid boss. Well, the first two, I don't know about the third one. I haven't tried him much. The first raid boss is all fire, just a big arena, and there are 4 shrines in the boss arena. You can see them. There's one right there. There's one over there. They're just in 4 corners or whatever. Those shrines do not provide a buff of any kind. Whenever the boss does this attack, he stacks fire dot on you, a fire damage over time debuff or status effect, and it stacks and it never goes away. It just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. Any of his attacks also puts a stack of this debuff, this status effect on you, and the only way to get rid of them is with those shrines. More than likely, every time you go in there, there's going to be someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and they're just going to take the shrines. So in order to beat this boss, it's basically just DPS and survivability. So if you have max fire res, good regen, and good DPS, you'll kill the boss every single time, no problem. The second boss requires way more teamwork to do it the way it was intended. He has, I'd say, 3 phases. These totems or pillars, whatever you want to call them, there's 4 in the corner. This will be his first phase. You'll just be DPSing him until he becomes invulnerable, and you would need to destroy those 4 pillars. He follows one character while he's invulnerable, and that character just needs to run around and keep him away from the rest of the party. During that first phase, he will freeze one party member who is the furthest away from him. And while they're frozen, he will shoot an ice ball, ice comet, whatever you want to call it, from him at that player. Someone needs to get between the frozen guy and the boss and block that comet, or that meteor, whatever you want to call it, so it doesn't kill that party member. When he freezes a party member, if the attack connects, it's a one-shot, as far as I've seen. In the second phase, though, whenever he freezes a party member, once again, it's the person who's the furthest away. He will drop a comet or meteor from the sky slowly on top of them. At this point, 3 or 4 preferably, party members need to stack on top of the frozen party member. Doing so will spread out the damage so that no one dies. If you have less than 3 or 4, then whoever is stacked or just the frozen guy will die. The third phase, I would call it, is as you see him doing like this blizzard attack in this showcase, this right here, this blizzard attack, it'll kill everyone unless the player with the yellow orb, is going to be a big yellow orb following one player. Once he starts that blizzard attack, that one player has to stand inside of the yellow orb to activate it, and it brings up a shield. Then everyone can stand inside the shield and not die to the blizzard. This is one of the most annoying raid fights I have done so far because it requires such a big emphasis on teamwork and nobody ever wants to listen. So I thought of a new strategy where if you get any kind of freeze immunity, whether it be from potions, you can craft freeze immunity potions. You can get freeze immunity if you're late enough in the game, you can roll enough freeze dodge on your gear to become immune, or it is also on some uniques. I got lucky and I got the belt, so every time I do the raid, I just put on this belt. But what you do is, once you have freeze immunity, you just make sure that while you're fighting the boss, that you are the furthest character away from the boss. That way, you're the one that always gets frozen, and nobody else gets one shot. And since you have immunity to freeze, you don't get frozen and you can just dodge the one shot. This will stop all of the other players from being one shot so you can continue to have their DPS. If not, no one has freeze immunity, no one does this strategy. More likely than not, no one also does the teamwork necessary to survive all the attacks. The next the next topic I'm going to be going over does include spoilers for the last part of the game, the hub that you will be spending all your time at. If you do not want to see what it looks like as a spoiler, then you can end the video here and come back later. Otherwise, I will be going now. Once you beat the Act 10 boss, you get to this town and you will have quests all over the town. You have to run from this corner down to this corner and then back over to this corner. It's a nightmare. It's very annoying. But once you do, you have to do all those quests to unlock. You have to do those quests so you can unlock each of the different things that you unlock at endgame. One of them being charms. Charms are these items here. Only specific ones can go in specific slots. So as you see, it says top right. That's this one. But then if you click on this one, it says bottom right. So if you had a top right charm, maybe it was the right charm that you want. Instead, maybe you wanted a bunch of Boreal generosities or whatever. You cannot put a top right and a bottom right. It has to be the correct slot. And as you can see, I have two Boreals, but then I have a Hamals. What these do is that each tier of charm and each grade of charm have different varying amounts of blessings. The higher the tier, the more blessing you get. If I was to look at tier 3 as opposed to a tier 5, it has 7% instead of 9%. Rare ones, as you can see, even at a tier 1, has more blessing than a tier 9 or a tier 5. The blessing is for this right here. As you get more and more blessing, you unlock these blessing effects. So having a higher tier or a higher grade charm is going to be more beneficial to unlock these effects easier. Even before you get to those breakpoints, the 20%, the 40%, they still have this bonus up here. So until you get good enough charms to start stacking the correct blessing that you want, it's always best just to put in the one that gives you your current build damage. Each god or blessing, whatever you want to call them, give you different benefits. So you want to look through this chart and see which one is the best for your build. I'd like to get this one because it would boost my damage the most, but I'll probably try to get this one because it boosts my damage similarly, but also gives me good defenses. This tab will show you what you're currently getting from your equipped charms. You get charms from doing the Chaos Dungeons of varying tiers. I'll go over that in a little bit, but first, at this table, you can roll your charms if you get the crafting material. All the crafting material can be obtained from drops from monsters. Some of them from just the auction house, or drops and the auction house, and some of them from the shop. Next thing you can do with charms is fusion. What fusion is once you get a chaos orb, that'd be the thing in the middle, you can fuse them with 6 charms to make a chaos star. Chaos stars inherit the options of the charms used as material by chance. So if you had all these charms in here, and they have to be rare and they have to be equipped. It seems like, because I have blue ones and they're not equipped, but only the rare one shows up. I have a bunch of them that aren't equipped, but none of them also show up. And what it would do is the Chaos Stone would absorb the modifiers on these charms and receive some of them by chance. Not all of them, but some of them. It would probably be anywhere from 4 to 6, I would assume. Every rare charm has a minimum of 2. So that would be 12 options for it to choose from. And it would fuse them into a Chaos Star. I do not have a Chaos Orb, so I cannot test anything with it. The next topic I will go over will be the Chaos Statue. This is where you put all your cards. This is where you spend most of your time. This is where all the dungeons you're going to be running are. About 80 to 90% of the end game is all done through this. Cards are these. There's multiple different layouts. Usually every layout I've seen has been a zone from the act. So if there was all the zones you run through the story, they'll all look familiar doing these dungeons. In the dungeon, you start out at tier 1 and level 1. The Chaos Statue can level up, which would unlock higher tiers. This chart shows you everything that the Chaos level unlocks. It's very handy if you were wondering when you unlock, say, the next charm slot. Bottom right charm slot is unlocked at level 4 Chaos Statue. Also tells you when you're going to start seeing certain drops. Like level 9 Chaos Statue, you will start seeing the Legendary Gear Essence. It's for modifying legendary gear. Level 12, you'll start seeing Legendary Rune Upgrade Essence. It's for upgrading your runes to Legendary grade or red. Tell you that the monster levels have to be 87, so just because your Chaos Statue is level 12, if you're running a tier 1 map, the monsters are not going to be level 87, so this will not drop. The monsters have to be level 87 or above. Also, you receive the buff in the middle at this tier. So level 1, there's just a 10% kill XP bonus. Level 2, you get increased item drop chance. And level 3, you would get monster level. This raises the difficulty of all tiers. So even if you're running a tier 1, say the monsters were normally level 70, I can't remember what the base level is. Say they're level 70. Now every time you run a tier 1 with a chaos level of 3, those monsters will now be level 71. In this menu, you just place a card in. It will tell you all of its information. A white card doesn't really have any information. A blue card, unidentified, doesn't have any information. Unlike similar games like Path of Exile, if you were to put a map, an unidentified map in the map device and go into it, you would not know any of its stats. Even after you enter the map, it would still be unknown. In this game, if you put an unidentified card in, activate it, go inside, on the right over here, the bottom, there will be multiple bars like this one. The bottom one will tell you the map modifiers. Go ahead and show unidentified so you don't know what it is. Activate it. Step in the portal. Now that you're in the map, you have this bar. As you kill monsters, you'll fill the bar up, and once the bar is full, you will be able to fight the boss for this dungeon. Once you kill the boss, you can leave the map and go on to the next boss, or you can continue killing the rest of the monsters in the map or card or dungeon. This tab right here is what I was talking about. As you can see, now I can see all the modifiers to the monsters, which are the red ones. So the boss will do more damage, and all the monsters have more HP, damage, and there's more monsters in the dungeon. The green one is the modifiers affecting me. So recovery effect dampening means my recovery has been reduced by 19 or almost 20%. Going back to the statue, there are two other tabs. Go over daily missions first. Daily missions is a grid of missions that you can do. You can do a max of 7 per day, but you start off with only 5. Your first 5 missions, you can do any mission on the board. You can refresh the rewards, that's the things on the outside, or you can refresh the missions, that's these on the inside. Refreshing the mission will change the dungeon area that the mission needs to be completed in, the type of mission you need to do, and the reward you get for doing that mission. This is very important to know the area. You don't need to remember them. You can just click checked own cards. It will tell you how many cards you have for each of these locations. So say this mission was Nymeria, but it wants me to kill 2 bosses. But I only have the 1 card. So I would not be able to complete this mission because I only had the 1 card. What you can do is you can go to the shopkeeper, the general shopkeeper guy. On his second tab, you can buy cards. So if you really needed to complete a mission but you didn't have enough cards, you can go to the shopkeeper and buy one there. They're always tier 1 and they can't be used for crafting. After you've completed your first 10 dungeons of the day, you unlock the chance to do the 6th daily mission. After you've cleared 20 dungeons for the day, you would unlock the chance to do the 7th mission. I recommend you try to get a good layout or good missions in the shape of an H or the shape of an I. Doing this will give you the most amount of rewards because not only will you get the diagonal rewards, both of them, you will get either the bottom reward and the top reward, or this reward and this reward. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same thing with I. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You want to maximize the amount of rewards you get from this, obviously, but not always. It doesn't always occur that way because of how the rewards fall on the outside. You must do all of them in the line to receive the reward. Do all of these in the line to receive this reward. This is a good source of guild tokens. The best source of star crystals, as I've seen, is to get these star memory ones. The star memory missions are pretty easy. It only requires one map. And as long as you have one of the maps, you just go in and there's like a it's hard to miss. There's a thing that you would click on. It spawns some monsters. You kill the monsters and then you're done with the mission. Cards can be converted, up-tiered, and upgraded. 4 tier 1 cards will become a tier 2 card. So there's a 4-to-1 to become tier 2. And it goes all the way up to tier 10. Do 4 tier 9s and get a tier 10 card. You can do 3 white cards and you will receive a magic card or blue. And you could do 3 blue or magic cards and you'll receive a rare. And then you can do 3 rare and it's not a guarantee anymore, but it can become legendary. Or maybe even unique, I'm not sure. I've only done it a few times and all it did was give me a rare back, so waste of cards. But it frees up space doing this. As you can see, I have a lot of cards. They take up a lot of space. So doing this 4-to-1 not only gives you a higher tier card, but also clears up space and is decent alchemy XP. Third tab is the compendium. It has every zone that you can run, separated by the god that they're under or whatever. In this menu, you can grow these dungeons, which just increases their level. See, this one's level 1, this one's level 0. And as a level 0, you cannot register a modifier. Once it's been leveled up, you can select from this list a modifier, whichever you want. I like the little loot goblin guys, so I did the loot goblin. You can do whatever you want. Every time you level them up, it goes up by 0.5%, as far as I can tell. I haven't spent a lot of time leveling up just one, so I don't know if it changes and maybe it goes up by 1% later on. Who knows? But you can choose anyone you want, and you can change it whenever you want by spending the star crystals. that you get from the dailies. You can get them from monster drops, so on and so forth. Swap it whenever you want as long as you have 10. See, it's level 2, and now these are all 1%. And you can change it to whatever you want whenever you want. Or you can just hit remove, and then I shouldn't have done that because now I have to pay again. On the right, Aphros is the section that all of these different types of maps are in. And as you level all these up, you will start unlocking these effects on the right. After you have at least one level, so you've leveled up anything once, you get 5% increased rune growth material drop chance. Once you have a collective level of 75, you'd unlock this one, and this one you have a collective level of 150, you'd unlock the last one. Another thing you can do in the another quick thing tip is instead of having to go back and forth between your daily missions, say I selected this one, I have all these cards or whatever. When I'm in the dungeon tab, you see all these, the recycle symbol. That's for the daily missions. When you select just one mission and you confirm that mission, only the cards with this swirly will show up for that mission. Only the ones for Hera. See, it says Hera. If I selected that mission, only the cards with that recycle symbol will show up in this menu. So you don't have to read, you didn't have to go through every card and be like, that's not a Hera, that's not a Hera. Oh, this is a Hera, I can do that one. You don't have to do that. You just look for the swirly, pop it in there, and it'll be the correct one. At a quick glance, pop open the menu after you've accepted your daily, and you'll just look for the highest tier or the grade or whatever you prefer. You're like, oh, here's the highest tier of this that I can do for this daily. You throw it in there, and then you'd run it. Once you're starting out, you might want to identify rare cards because they have a lot more modifiers, and some of them can be very bad for your build. I know the one that makes everything cost more mana is really a big pain for me, particularly. The next thing to go over is how to level up your Chaos statue. As you can see right here, mine is level 9. This is the XP bar. Just running dungeons gives statue XP efficiency. The higher the tier you're running for the level that you currently are, this number goes up and down. If I was to put in a tier 1, you see the efficiency is very bad. So you want to run the highest tier you can to get the most amount of experience for progressing your Chaos statue. Once it's at 100%, you can click level up. Sometimes instead of saying level up, it says trial. What that means is you have to go and fight a boss. And those bosses so far have mostly done, they always have an element, and sometimes, more times than not, they have chaos damage, which has been a real pain. Down here is how you select the current chaos level setting. So maybe you wanted to lower the monster level for whatever reason. I don't know how you would do this. But every time you level up, so if I was level 1, I beat the trial boss, so now my chaos statue's level 2. I would need to come down here and upgrade it to level 2 in order for me to get the benefits from the higher level statue. I always just keep it maxed out because I don't think there's a reason not to. But maybe there is. Next thing you can do with rare cards only, the yellow ones and above, rare, maybe not uniques, but rare and legendary, you can add godstones. Each godstone will apply its authority or influence, whichever you prefer to call it, to the map. What that would do is say, I don't know what element this is, but say this is the ice god or whatever. In the map, there will be ice zones on the ground that slow you and just get in the way or whatever. Maybe if it was the fire god, the fire zones would be damaging or whatever. They just put zones all over the map to get in your way or hurt you or impede you. Halfway through the boss meter, the boss filling meter over here, it will spawn gods, an authority for that god or whatever. And you go and you fight that boss, and that boss will drop gear related to this god's authority. Authority on a gear can have special modifiers that can't be found on any other type of gear. It only be found on gear with that god's authority. So it's very good to do those once you start getting these stones. I don't know if it's always worth doing it at low tiers or high tiers, that you'd have to experiment with that. Higher tier cards, higher grade cards give better rewards. You can see this tier 4 rare card gives increased item drop chance, which is really good. Gold, chance of getting more cards, charm drop chance. The next thing, from starting from rare cards and legendary cards, they have these missions, which are at the bottom. They also have sometimes a extra mission reward. It doesn't tell you what it is unless you identify it. As you see, you identify it, then it would tell you what this is. But the mission rewards are chests. There are, I think, four or so different types of reward chests, maybe more, and they vary. This is a materials specials chest, so it would give you various amounts of. It'll give you various types of material. The rune special chest gives you specific rune rewards, like the link modifier essence. It can give you any of the synthesized runes for white and below, just all the white ones. So it can give you any of these. Well, any of the white ones, not blue. It can give you any of these and a few other rewards. If you're ever wondering what's in the chest, once you receive it, you can just click view info and it'll tell you what's in it. Speaking of this chest, you can buy 2 per day from the shop for 50,000 gold, and it'll give you a godstone. It's in the consumable tab, or chaos stone tab, and you can buy 2 daily. Very important to see what you're going to get, or see what it wants you to do in order to get that mission. Once you identify it, it'll tell you what the mission info is. It wants the party to defeat monsters. More specifically, it wants you to defeat 20 monsters within 7 seconds 5 times. So within 7 seconds, you have to kill 20 monsters, and then you have to do it again 5 times. The reward is specific per person who it is. So the host, the person who opened the map, would get the top reward. And also, if there is an additional mission and it says host, they'll get that ward. Every other person in the party will only get the party reward. The host will only get the host rewards. The party members other than the host will get the party rewards. The next topic I will be going over is relics. After you unlock the relic and you go and get the relic, you can select which relic you want to equip. Quick note on the right, the tags will tell you at a quick glance which one you want to investigate further. Since I'm a lightning build, I looked at this one. Once you see one that has the tags you're interested in, you can look into equip skills to look at it further. It has two types of skills. It has a passive skill and it has an active skill. The passive is always activated, even when the avatar, even when the relic is not summoned. As you can see, it also gets a secondary buff on the passives at level 30. As it also unlocks different passives as it levels up. So when you're looking for the avatar you want to choose, you'd look for the tag that has specific things that you're interested in. Then you would look at its passives to see if it has which one has better passives and skills as opposed to the other one. Once you get an active, as it levels up, you'll get, your first active. That active also has 4 link runes that it can have. Right now it has a max link slot of 1. Since it's specifying this, I'm assuming it can have more. Or it's just telling you that it's a max of 1. So you can pick any of these to support this skill. Each skill has their own supports or links that vary. So you would want to go and look through each skill to see which relic has or avatar has the stuff that you want. Relic growth is how you level up the avatars. You can only do a max amount per day that increases as you level them up. You use Light of Life, which you find in the dungeons, as the catalyst for increasing their level. You can only store a max amount of light of life per day, but any excess you can convert into mysterious element, which is used for crafting the hyper regeneration energy. Energy is the amount that they consume, which can be recovered with the hyperstones. They consume it at a constant rate as they are summoned, as long as you're in a dungeon. They don't consume anything while you're in town. This is the amount that they spend per minute while you're in a map. This is the amount that they cover per minute when you're not in a map. If you're constantly running maps, they will run out. You can replenish it directly by leveling up. Will replenish their energy, or you can use these material. You can reset it for gold, and once you reset it, it resets resets it back to level 1 and resets your divinity points when you ever unlock those. Then you can select a new one and it will be the same level. You can just level it back up and select all its new stuff and use its points or whatever. There's no problem. It just costs gold. There's a place that shows you what kind of rewards you get for leveling them up, but gone. Maybe it only shows whenever you have a level up. Anyways, as they level up at level 10, 20, and 30, their appearance changes. Don't know why I can't find the menu. There's a menu that shows you the entire list of what they unlock at each level. The next topic I'm going to go over is Void Rifts. This is the other end game activity. And what it is you just fight. You get teleported to a boss arena and you kill the boss. As you go to higher levels, see this is level 1, level 1. This one was, I've only done one. This used to be the first one, level 1. I beat that one. So now I can do the second level 1. Once I beat that one, I could do the third level 1. Once I beat this one, I'd go to the first level 2. There's seasonal rewards for clearing all of a specific level. Once you clear all of level 1, you'd get this reward. All of level 2, you get this reward, so on and so forth. As you go down, the bosses get harder and harder. And eventually there's more than one boss. Maybe more than 2 bosses, I don't know. It's a seasonal thing. It resets every, I don't know. It's a pretty long season, it appears. There's also a ranking for this, and that's what these points down here are. So not only is there rewards for completing the seasons or the clearing the whole level, you can also get rank rewards over here. Void Rift ranking. If you're within any of these, you would get the reward. Resets, I believe it probably resets at the same time as the other one. You see, I've only done the one, so I'm almost just doing the one. I can almost get, or I will get this because I'm 1,000 plus. So just doing one, you'll get a reward. But obviously, if you want the better rewards, you'd have to do more. Like I said, you can click this and it'll show you what you can get from it. These tickets that you're getting from these chests are just for unlocking the title in the journal. Believe. Yeah. So training area blue, you have to use the magic ticket. Anything that says use the ticket, title ticket, you'd unlock from being on the top of these ranking sections. The bottom 2 rankings are for characters who haven't died. Once you die, that's what the gravestone is. You're no longer eligible to continue competing on. You're no longer eligible to continue raising your rank. As you can see, I'm still rank 135 because I didn't die until I achieved this amount of XP. But once I died, it stopped. It just stays there. This one is for the clearing the campaign. You can't reset this one. You can reset this one. You can reset your current record and retry the rankings. Records that are reset are not eligible for. Oh, you can't get rewards, so it's just for whatever. It'll reset probably automatically when the time resets. I don't know. I haven't been focused on this. That was the last topic I was going to go over. If you found any of that information helpful, or maybe you want to learn more, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, that would be very appreciated. Any questions you have, as always, leave them in the comments below. And if anything I remembered, if I remember anything I forgot to mention, I will pin it in a comment below. You can also follow me on Twitch at the same username as the YouTube channel. And thanks for watching.